Alright, so what's good, chat? Today I'm going to teach you guys how to do these cloud sky animation VFX scenes. These scenes are been like a trend kinda lately. Everyone is doing them, including me and other editors, and they look pretty cool. They are also pretty easy to do. Today I'm going to teach you how to make them, and I'm going to teach you tips and tricks. I'm going to teach you also how to make a cool, cloudy, foggy atmosphere, and yeah, bro. So first of all, you need to get your cloud footage. You go to YouTube, any type cloud stock footage 4K, and you can really pick any one of these, anyone that looks cool and high quality. For this video I picked this one. I'm gonna put the link to it in the description. And after you get the clouds ready, you get your mask ready, the character that you want to put in clouds, and then we start remapping. You remap the cloud footage that you have depending on the length of your clip, how long you want it to be. You can add multiple keyframes just like I'm doing, so the movement is better and smoother. Make sure to double click this box so it doesn't be stiff. After that, try to match the character that you have with the color of the sky footage that you have. I added curves and I clicked on this, and after you click on that, you try to play with the curve until you match the black and white of the stock footage, until like they have like same level of black and white kinda. I adjusted the cloud footage a little bit. I added mesh warp and optics compensation, and I played with them a little bit. I wanted to have reflection of the shadow of the cloud on the character, so I auto traced the mask of the character that I have, and then I copied that mask and duplicated the stock footage layer and put the mask on it. Added tint and unmold and fill and play with it a little bit so I can make it look like the shadows are reflecting on the character, so it adds more depth and it looks more cooler and whatever. And then I added a camera lens blur to the cloud stock footage that I have. After that, I added a black solid and then put a fractal noise on it. I'm gonna make like a wind with the fractal noise. We go to the fractal type and we make it dynamic. Then we go to transform and we make the scale like 2000. We decrease the brightness a little bit. We're gonna keyframe it anyway though, and then you play with the complexity. You make it 2. Now we keyframe the evolution, we keyframe the offset turbulence, we keyframe the brightness and the contrast. We go at the end and then we move the offset turbulence to the right side. My clouds footage though are moving to the left side, so I'm just gonna swap the 2 keyframes. You put the evolution on 1 and then you decrease the brightness and the contrast a little bit, and then you have something that look like this. We go back to the scale and then we uncheck the uniform scaling. We make the scale with 2000 as it was, and then we increase the scale heights a little bit, like 170 or 200. I added a radial blur and I try to play with it a little bit, so you have something like this. Decrease it though, don't make it like too strong, and then you should have something that look like this. Make sure to add unmold though, so you blend the fractal noise, because we're not gonna use blending mode, we're gonna use unmold. And then after that, I'm gonna add levels. I'm gonna do the same thing that I did with the curves. I'm gonna try to match the black and white of the character and the background. After that, I'm gonna add a CC tuner. You can also use a tritone. I'm gonna pick the color of the sky, and then I'm gonna make the blend with the original. I'm gonna make it 80, and then after that I'm gonna add is glow darks. Gonna decrease the threshold a little bit. Gonna also decrease the darkness also, and then I'm gonna add edge blur. After I add edge blur, I'm gonna add a light wrap. Gonna select the background layer, the clouds, and then I'm gonna do effects and mask. I'm gonna play with the background blur and the warp width. It really depends on the background you have most of the time, so just play with it until you get like a decent result. Gonna duplicate the edge blur and gonna drag it down, and after that I'm gonna do raise. You can really just add S raise instead of doing it like this, but I'm just gonna do it like this, and then put the blending mode on screen. And then after, I'm gonna do a little bit of bloom. Gonna add the luma key, gonna increase the threshold, and then gonna add Gaussian blur and gonna also increase the blur, and then put the blending mode on screen. You can use deep glow. I don't know why I'm doing it this way, but this whatever though. And then I'm gonna add a heat distortion. Gonna also play with the settings. It really depends on how your scene looks like and how strong or how weak you want the heat distortion to look like. You can use heat wave. I prefer heat wave, but for some reason when I add heat wave my shit bugged, so I'm using heat distortion. And then one of the most important things that we're gonna add is the mood lighting. Gonna increase the cloud size Gonna increase it to like 300 or 270 and gonna play with this seed. Gonna play with it until I get a result that I like, and that's how it looks. And then I'm gonna add s underscore clouds. I'm gonna increase the frequency a little bit. Gonna make it like 4. Gonna also play with the other frequency. Gonna make it like, gonna stretch it in a little bit and decrease the brightness. Gonna change the blending mode from clouds only to add, and to be honest it's kind of fast. I'm gonna decrease the brightness a little bit also, and gonna also decrease the speed of it. I added a little flicker, added 2 camera lens blurs, one at the start and one at the end, and also added a camera lens blur expression. This is the expression I'm using, and it's basically gonna do random blurs from 0.5 to 6. It's just like a blur flicker basically. And then I added a fog overlay. I'm gonna be putting the link of it in the description also with the cloud footage. Put the blending mode on screen, and then added a optical flare. Gonna go inside and I'm gonna delete everything, and then scroll down a bit and change the lens texture to dirty and decrease the fall off. And then I adjusted the lens dirt. I made the blending mode on add, and I cut out the parts that I don't like from the lens dirt. And yeah, that's basically it. You can add more things to it. You can add more optical flares. You can add more lens dirt. You can add way more fog overlays. But yeah, that's it. I hope you all like the tutorial, and I hope that it wasn't really confusing for some of you all. And yeah, see you, chat.